Hi, today's January 30th, 2020. I wanted to show you what I see on the TLT chart. TLT is a long-term bond ETF. Looks like it's going to be going up for a long time if this pattern holds, which means interest rates will be coming down for quite a while. Again, if this pattern holds. So I know this chart's busy. You have to kind of look at it in layers. So first, if you would, just take a look at the candlesticks, the red and green candlesticks, and just ignore everything else. So what you see is a consolidation pattern in here, right? It's forming this wedge, this triangle. It's called a flag, uh, which is a very common technical pattern on a chart. So you have all this consolidation for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then here on the 13th January, it broke out and started going up, and it's on its way up. So that's the general pattern. I found that TLT um, is a lot better for technical analysis on a weekly time frame rather than a daily. So what I need to do as a trader is to not only spot the breakout and the indication that it's going to be going up, but how far is it going to go? Where should I set my target? So the way that you project where price is going when you have a flag breakout is that you take like the post, which is take a look at this now. These thin white lines. So this line, you start from the swing low, or the low of the pattern, and you draw that line to the top before it starts going down, and then you make a copy of this line, and you put the bottom of that line at the low of your consolidation period, right? So that diagonal line is here and extends out there and off the chart. So I can't even see where it goes. I can, but I have a couple short-term targets. I don't even need to see where the rest of that line goes. Being that this is a weekly, this trade's going to go on for a long time. So I just want to set some nearer term targets, and then once I deal with those, I can look at further out targets. Okay, so now I'm going to try to figure out, well, how long is this going to, well, let me identify the first target, and then I'll talk about the time. So this pattern, like I said, you take this post, you set it down here, and the expected move is to the other end of this line. However, I got a feeling that pattern worked that way a lot more often in the past, but more often than not, I see patterns tend to only go to half the projected price. So what I wanted to do is I want to find out, well, where is half of this line? So the bottom of the line is 111.90, and the top of the line is 148.90. So I just took the average. I found the middle. It's 130 and 40 cents. So I drew this line here at 130 and 40 cents, which amazingly is also, well, it's not amazing that it's the 50%, because this is just another way to measure the same thing. So anyway, I drew the line there, and then I drew a line from the base up to 50%. So now I know the length of the 50%, because I drew this line to represent it, and then I made a copy of this line, and I projected it from the bottom. So this is the post going off there, but this is half the post goes up to here, and then I put a horizontal line just to mark it. And so this is my first target, is half of the projected total target, right? So that's my first target. And then I want to know, well, how long is it going to take approximately to get to this target? So because I drew this line from the bottom to the right, you see that's kind of the slope or the progress that the price is moving. So I want to use that same angle in my projection. So I drew this to represent how long it took for price to get up to half, and then I moved it up to here. So then I looked at the date. If you drop down here, you see the date down here, right? And then the date from up here. And the difference is about 10 weeks. This represents about 10 weeks of time, right? And I got in it today. So that's a way that you can project the time. And my second target is the 27.2% Fibonacci extension. So the way you do the Fibonacci extension is that you draw your Fibonacci from the top of your swing high right down to the bottom. So say this is 0% because that's where you started, and this is 100%. So when you have your Fibonacci's, you see how far this came down, right? So this came down to the 38.2, right? That's how far down the consolidation came before it broke out and started heading up. Well, only coming down to 38.2% and then going up and not ever reaching the 50% is a very bullish indication. Typically, price comes down to the 50 or even the 61.8, but if it only comes down to 38.2, and that's as far as it goes, well, that's telling you that the momentum is so strong it couldn't even get down to where it normally goes. So that's another indication this is a good pattern to trade. And then another thing you could do with the Fibonacci's is that you can see an extension. So this is where you started, right? And if price breaks through here and keeps going, which is what I anticipate, this is like the earliest target that it should go to. Once it breaks out from this line, it should make it to the 27.2, if not more. So this is another good target. So my second target would be this, which is 158.92. So what I'm going to do is to trade. I got a call spread today. I got a 145 to 150 May call spread, and I'm going to hold on to that position until this reaches this first target, and then sell that, right? And then I'm going to take a look. I'm expecting a little bit of a bounce down, and then it'll start to go back up. And when it does, I'll take another trade with a target at this level. Let's see if there's anything else to point out. I don't see anything. And then also, this is an indication down here. This is called stochastics, and it's an indication of how oversold or overbought or just overdone, one way or the other, that the chart is. And typically over 80 is considered overbought when you're using stochastics, and we're not over 80. Not yet, right? We're about there. So that tells you that this still has a long way to go before you have to worry about it being overdone. That's another reason why this looks like a good trade. Okay, so that's it for now, and I'll post updates in my blog, which you can see is over here. All right, thank you very much for listening.